Hello, everybody. You are listening to Who Dat Confessional, part of the Saints News Radio Network. You'll be listening tonight to Rev, Deuce, Windham, and Brian Bienemy co-hosting this show, as always, with me. And we encourage you, listen in for the next couple hours as we discuss the Giants game, the upcoming Atlanta game, all Saints news. And maybe you've thrown little surprises in here a little bit tonight. Maybe, just maybe. We'll see how it goes. Brian, you there, brother? All right, always good to hear from you, man. I know that you just really enjoyed that beautiful Sunday game we got to watch with the Giants and the Saints. Oh, come on. It wasn't that bad. It's not like, we collapsed under pressure and gave away the game again. That didn't happen, right? Yeah, I will say it was an extreme disappointment. Now, let me add this, because anybody who's going to listen tonight is probably going to be on the other side of this. My first thought is to not blame the rookie corner. Everybody, I saw it on Twitter so much this week, how his two plays have cost this team, and I got to disagree. One, yes, he went for a play on the ball instead of playing your man, and that's cornerback 101 in those late situations. But when you're young in the league, trying to make a name for yourself, aren't you going to try to make that play? I can't fault him. He was, 2 inches away from having an interception versus having a big reception for Cruz. But we'll fight on him a little bit later. Overall, though, where was that Saints offense? Well, I mean, we ran for, a solid 6 times in the second half that game? Yeah, it was real well balanced, wasn't it? Mm-hmm. Yeah, now I will say in defense of the New Orleans defense, they did a pretty stellar job against that New York quick strike style offense. So kudos to them. But that still is no excuse for the very dismal performance the offense put out. I mean, there's really no words for it. You got a guy, it doesn't matter. Run Ingram, run Hightower, run Cadet if you've got to. Run somebody, though. The fact that the New Orleans offense, this juggernaut that we're supposed to have, ran 13 times all Sunday long is pitiful. We literally almost had a carry of 9 yards be longer than the number of attempts we had. And you saw it in the passing game. Your favorite tight end of the year, Kobe Fleener, had 8 targets and only 2 receptions. And a lot of that is, it might be on Kobe Fleener, but also it's on the fact that there's no balance. They didn't have to respect the run. They played pass defense all game long. Yeah. Yeah, look, anytime a defense, especially a young defense, is forced to go against that many pass attempts, that many drives, I mean, and what was it? I got to pull it up. What was our time possession that game? We didn't even hit 30 minutes, did we? I've got to pull it up. Yeah, let's see, here it is. We had time of possession 25 minutes and 53 seconds is how long we had the football this past Sunday, and that is abysmal. You're not going to win games like that. The defense is on the field way too much. That might only seem, and some people's minds are going to say, oh, it's a 9-point swing. 9 minutes, a 9-minute swing in football, that is huge. Those guys were wore out come the fourth quarter, and that is why they fell apart. Yeah, and not to mention also that Tom Morstead had one of the best games I've seen out of him and his leg in quite a while, and he always is consistent. He was averaging over 50 yards a punt, putting the Giants back on their 20 for average. But when you give up, Eli Manning threw for 41 pass attempts, and I think they ran the ball for 32, 33 times. That's over 70 plays, not counting penalties. And that's just far too much for a defense. There's no way they can stand against that. And if we add in the fact that Morstead was placing them so far back in their own area, they were driving up and down the field. The only reason that the Saints didn't give up as many points is because that defense forced so many early turnovers. They were driving up and down the field all throughout the first half. I mean, so that team was just dog-tired come second half, and Giants' defense was fresh. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And the only one who really did that well against us was Sterling Shepard going up against Harris, because he's the only one who went 8 receptions on 8 targets. Victor Cruz missed half his targets. Odell Beckham, he got 8 catches, but he only got 86 yards. For a superstar highlight reel type player like that, that's a solid win. I mean, so that defense, starters down, missing players on the D-line, missing players for some questionable reasons in the linebacking core, missing players in the secondary for injuries. They did pretty well. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think a lot of it, and I hate to word it like this because, one, what I'm about to say is not provable. It's a completely conjecture-based statement. But this is one of those games that I have to say is on the coaching staff. Because I look at New York's defense and offense. Yes, I do realize this is a road game, so our team does perform slightly different on the road, but they still can win. An offense that scores as many points as it did against Oakland, and yet is only able to put up 13 against the New York Giants while winning the turnover battle, to me that's coaching. When you have a balance of, and that it's not even a balance because Drew Brees threw 44 times. When you have an offense that throws 44 times, only runs 13 times, and keep in mind, this is not a game where we're playing behind by 3 touchdowns needing to score quick. This is a game that was close the entire go. Why is there no balance in the run game? So when it comes to the offense, I've got to start putting some blame on that because even against Oakland, they ran over 20 times. And that's going to be right around average for the Saints. You want them to get close to that 30 mark. 25 times is perfect, basically, for the style of offense that Sean Payton brought to us. But we cannot do 13 times. That's got to be on the coaches. Obviously, that's not a factual statement. You can't go back and prove that. There's not decades of stat sheets saying this is proof that coaches lose games. But, I mean, when I look at that, I mean, look at the receivers. The receivers had a decent game. You look at Drew Brees. Drew Brees didn't have a bad game. No interceptions. He was efficient. But there was just no balance. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt that they went in with that mindset because we see it on the scorecard. Now, in defense, I mean, we're going to have to keep saying because I have to stay optimistic. In defense of the Saints coaching staff, the New York Giants, especially on paper, do not have a threatening pass defense. They don't on paper. The one thing that they did do well against Dallas the week before was they semi-stopped the run. Now, they didn't shut it down, but they definitely put up a good fight on it. Yes, it's a divisional game. It's hard to apply that to non-divisional games, but I can see the concept. My problem is with the execution because if you're going to play all pass, you've got to stop trying to do the little cute stuff that works with a balanced play calling. Perfect example. The one catch and target Tommy Lee Lewis has gets blown up behind the line of scrimmage because they're not afraid of the run, so they're not stacking people in the box. So when you throw to Tommy Lee Lewis out in the flat or out in like this little bubble screen, he's got no chance. There's no possibility that play is going to work, and yet we run it anyway. You got to adjust to the play calling you've decided to play. And the screenplay works great when you've got Ingram and Hightower pounding through the A and B gap all day long. But when they haven't seen it in a quarter, it's not going to work. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And see that whole Drew catching a delay game penalty, and I actually tweeted this out during the game, that's what made me believe that Sean Payton had taken over the play calling reins. Because we don't, even when Sean was gone, and when Carmichael has coached, in select games here and there, you never see that happen unless Sean's